Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with Lokir Fellheart, the new free LC Lord for the Dark Elves. Realized I hadn't actually taken a battle with him yet, or taken a look at a battle rather. So we're going to be having a look at this one here. I am playing the Dark Elves up against an Empire opponent here on Altdorf Outskirts. So I know you guys are big fans of the Empire on my channel. This time we're going to be trying to take them down. Let's have a look at the build here. Lokir himself, just a quick overview. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty about him, but just as a quick reminder, up here on the dragon, he's got heavy armor piercing damage, pretty decent combat stats, as well as the dreaded duelist, which puts him up into the 70s on both, in fact into the 80s on his melee attack, including with deadly onslaught. That includes the charge bonus as well, going way up there, and extra armor piercing and weapon damage as well. He also gets +9 melee defense and regeneration while in melee with the helm of the KRAKEN. So just in general, a completely super powerful character. I mean, yeah, I was going to say completely broken, but I don't think he's completely broken. Very powerful, certainly. Also has this Merciless Slaver, -4 leadership in that area of effect around him. For the rest of the build, we've got 2 Feral Manticores. You guys will be seeing these guys more often. With that price reduction, they provide a pretty nice, cheap terror option that you could just kind of throw into your opponent's backline. Really are effective at tying up ranged units in certain matchups, so you guys will see them definitely more frequently, I think. We've got some Dread Spears, Bleak Swords, 3 Reaper Bolt Throwers, who I like quite a bit in the Empire matchup. They can counter fire artillery, do very good against Empire heavy cavalry. To help protect them, we've got some Cold One Knights, 2 units of Cold One Knights on various parts of the battlefield, as well as these Sisters of Slaughter here hidden in the woods, in kind of a sweeper position. Going to try and come sweep up this flank. Not really a sweeper, more of a flanker position. That would be the wide receiver in the American football formation, for those of you who watch American football. But anyway, for my opponent's Empire build, he's got 4 Empire Knights, 2 on each side, a whole bunch of Empire State Troops in the center, with some crossbowmen as well. Warrior Priest leading some Demigryph Knights. The General is an Arch Lector. They've also got a Jade Wizard here, so a very good balanced Empire build here. Lokir is going to quick dive on the Arch Lector. Didn't actually get a hit on him there, but not wanting to stick around too long because there are those Demigryph Knights with the Warrior Priest on station, so we're going to get back up into the air. Meanwhile, you can see these Empire Knights have just been getting hammered by the Bolt Throwers here. These 2 groups in particular, definitely taking a beating. I'm just staying patient, you know, focusing on these guys as much as I can, picking off the unit models, trying to weaken their power, because I definitely am at a mobility disadvantage here. Can see these Empire Knights coming forward. I'm going to go ahead and engage the swordsmen on the Bleak Swords. We'll soak up some quick cinematics of this engagement getting underway here as the Dark Elves try and get this done. I heard a big thud. I think, yep, looks like Lokir just came down right on top of those Empire Knights, trying to stop them up. But unfortunately, those Demigryph Knights are right on station. I mean, thankfully, with that dreaded duelist, the deadly onslaught, you can see Lokir's stats just absolutely insane. We're going to go ahead and screen with the Cold One Knights here. They're going to countercharge in here to these Empire Knights and the Demigryph Knights. We've also got the Helleburnai, the Regiment of Renowned Spearmen, supporting. They've got the poison attacks, so they're going to be poisoning all the units in that pocket as well. Definitely an advantageous situation for me. Sisters of Slaughter are going to start to come work up and around this flank here. Breath attack goes down. Didn't do a whole lot of damage because those cav were disengaging there, but all 3 Bolt Throwers still online. We've also got some Cold One Knights still hidden in the woods back here. Meanwhile, this Manticore helped clean up the swordsman real quick, quick terror route, and now the other Manticore diving in the back line, going after these crossbowmen here, trying to provide some cover for the advancing Sisters of Slaughter, who already have taken some damage, but they're going to get in here. Demigryph Knights countercharging a little bit, but that's not going to stop the Sisters of Slaughter from getting into these crossbowmen here. You can see Lokir in the distance with the Cold One Knight supporting in that engagement there, taking down some units over on the far side. Yeah, these Sisters of Slaughter in the back line are a big problem, including 2 Manticores as well, so all 3 of these crossbowmen currently tied down for me, looking pretty advantageous. That being said, this frontline engagement isn't great, and there's still plenty of Empire Knights on the field. This unit of Empire Knights finally able to get up and around, start to go after these Bolt Throwers here. I'm going to go ahead and activate these Cold One Knights in just a moment to intercept them. Meanwhile, this other Cold One Knight had been briefly, the Reaper Bolt Thrower rather, had been briefly knocked off. We went ahead and put them back on, but you can see some of the Dread Spears in the front line starting to crumble, disengaging with these Cold One Knights. I'm going to come try and rear charge the Empire Knights here to help support. Loke here went after the Warrior Priest there, trying to take him down, get rid of his support buffs, also providing a nice anvil for the Cold One Knights to then charge in. I believe the Demigryph Knights are somewhere around here, though. Nope, looks like they are off in the distance there. So, yeah, we were able to terrify away a couple of units there. Pretty good stuff. So far, Loke here just continuing to tank it up. Hasn't really taken too much critical damage so far, but the Archlector's on foot, so he's going to be a little bit hard to catch for Loke here, especially with that Shield of Faith up. Won't take a whole lot of damage from that charge, but as he gets back up here, the Swordsman will come in to support and distract the attacks there. You can see I'm just cross-firing anytime these Empire Knights come in to compromise one of these Bolt Throwers. This Bolt Thrower can crossfire here, and this is the reason why I spread all three, throughout the map like that. But the other unit of Cold One Knights advancing across the board. You can see Sisters of Slaughter now rear charging some of these Spearmen, having cleaned up a whole bunch of units in this backline area. We've also got some Hellebronai over here. Fortunately, though, the Manticores are starting to be seen off. They are not super tanky. I mean, they're not going to last a super long time, but a brutal fight in the center here as these Demigryph Knights, who currently, I believe, had some kind of healing, didn't catch, yep, looks like regrowth, in fact, up against the Cold One Knights there. That is going to give them more vigor and heal them up as well, so the Cold One Knights definitely just getting absolutely destroyed there. I'm going to try and support here with Loke here, just directly into the Demigryph Knights, see if we can maybe take out a couple of their unit models there, but yeah, we do some pretty decent damage, honestly, on that rear charge there. We do manage to take down a couple of unit models, but the Cold One Knights, yeah, they do hold their leadership together just barely, and the Demigryph Knights unfortunately do get terrified there, so it ended up being a bit of a favorable situation for me, despite the fact those Cold One Knights took some serious damage. They're going to go ahead and rampage into some swordsmen there, which is just fine with me. The Demigryph Knights are going to go ahead and rally here, come back to the Archlector, finish off this other group of Cold One Knights. Fortunately, this Bolt Thrower is right in range here, has a clear open shot, can take down these Demigryph Knights as they fight in this pocket here. And yeah, definitely want to try and go after that. Looks like the Jade Wizard actually getting back here and causing some problems for the artillery crew there, but not the biggest issue at the moment. The balance power is pretty well in my favor, although things are still pretty even, all things considered. A nice, I was about to say nice breath attack, but in fact largely missed there. This other Bolt Thrower going to get shut down now as well, so honestly, there's still quite a lot of state troops on the field. I mean, granted, we do have this tattered unit of Sisters of Slaughter, but the Cold One Knights mostly shut down. We've got one Manticore here still online, and one Bolt Thrower. This other Bolt Thrower still online for the moment. The Jade Wizard, unfortunately, doesn't quite have enough models, but it looks like the Swordsmen are potentially going to come help here. Loke here, again, trying to go after the Archlector, but the Archlector, the Grand Hammer of Sigmar on these, looks like, unfortunately, that didn't actually get on the Demigryph Knights, thankfully for me. Otherwise, Loke here probably would have got torn up there. But, yeah, very risky dive with the Spearmen and the Demigryph Knights, but just trying to take out the leadership, see if we can't force a bit of a terror route here. But Demigryph Knights continuing to pursue. You can see that Bolt Thrower's offline. Again, just keeping these crews coming back from route as often as I can and putting them back on their artillery pieces, very key here. Sisters of Slaughter in the late game as well. This healthy, I mean, comparatively to the Empire State troops that they're fighting, they're going to be able to tear through these swordsmen here. They're going to be a very key unit in this late game situation. There are some Empire Knights, though, as well. They can be very key. If these guys would turn and get a direct charge into the Sisters of Slaughter, they could do some pretty good shock damage due to the lack of armor. Only 5 armor on the Sisters of Slaughter. They're very, very light infantry. Although, that being said, the Empire Knights would probably get dragged down at the end of that. My opponent instead choosing to go after the Bolt Thrower here, which is definitely a good choice. It's the biggest danger, potentially, to the Demigryph Knights here. So, using all of his mobility here, although with the Demigryph Knights already on station, you probably could have pulled those Empire Knights around to go after the Sisters of Slaughter, but the remaining Manticore are going to go ahead and finish off the Warrior Priest here. Yeah, 58 HP, he's still alive though, unfortunately. Maybe we might be able to finish him off there. But Archlector is fighting the Sisters of Slaughter, helping provide some defensive stats to those Spearmen. Should be able to hold out for some time if they can potentially get some missile support. It looks like the Crossbowmen turning instead to focus on the Manticore, which is definitely a good idea. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of extremely tattered units over on the side. Looks like those guys are probably not going to come back. But yeah, the Warrior Priest did in fact survive there. I decided to put the Manticore on the Crossbowmen instead, so that they could fire on him. Lokir is coming, Big Papa Dragon on the way over as well, up in the air. We're going to see if we can't drop a nice breath attack once everything kind of blobs up here. I expected my opponent was going to put in these Demigryph Knights to try and finish off the Manticore, which is definitely a smart play, but with Lokir right on station, I've still got one more breath attack, and this is going to be the finishing move right here. Just devastating these Empire Knights, and the Demigryph Knights there actually terrify away, even though the Manticore was routing the Empire Knights there. The Demigryph Knights with that Hammer of Sigmar, though, just absolutely tearing it to shreds. That being said, we did provide enough of a buffer for the Sisters of Slaughter to finish off the state troops here, and now the Helleburnai, the Sisters of Slaughter, and Lokir Felhar in the very, very late game here going to struggle to finish off the last of the Demigryph Knights and the Archlector here, so a super close battle at the end of the day. Very well played to my opponent, and for those of you wondering, yes, I did forget to bring a caster. I did not have any source of magic this game, which is definitely a huge mistake, especially as a faction with access to some pretty powerful lores of magic like you have with the Dark Elves. Definitely would have been helpful to, I would say, have lore of Shadows. I would have had probably Melkos, Enfeebling Foe, maybe just those two for a nice cheap loadout, but casting Enfeebling Foe for Lokir's goon target will just help him win that much more, especially if he's going up against a higher tier combat character, somebody like Karl Franz, for example, up in the air. If you cast that Enfeebling Foe, plus all of Lokir's self-buffs, I'm sure he would pretty easily beat Franz. I haven't actually tested it. Karl Franz is still a pretty powerful character, and granted, with all of his own buffs active, that would be at the very least counteracting the Enfeebling Foe, but it'd be interesting. I guess to really make it fair, you'd have to give Franz magic support as well, which would mean healing for him, although Lokir already has self-healing, so it sounds like I need to potentially run a test on that. I'll get back to you on that one. But nonetheless, in terms of this particular replay here, 277 kills on the Sisters of Slaughter. I was kind of tinkering around with this build a little bit, and granted, I did forget to bring a caster, but very happy I brought these Sisters of Slaughter. I almost didn't bring them, but they ended up being able to crash into that flank, and because the Empire Knights were largely distracted with Cold Ones and Bolt Throwers and Manticores and all sorts of other things, they didn't get charged directly by the Empire Knights, and because I was also able to bog down the crossbowmen with the Manticores and so on, they didn't get shot up too much, so they were able to get into melee and just tear through those light Empire State troops. Both the crossbowmen, swordsmen, and spearmen alike definitely did a great job. Helleburnai as well, very cost effective, 68 kills, and providing that poison, especially in that late game situation. Very key unit. The two Manticores also, 75 kills in particular, not bad at all in terms of the raw kill number. Really, though, these guys are largely distraction tools just to bog down these crossbowmen, make sure they don't perform, which these guys didn't really. They got some decent fire in some certain situations, but overall, state troops actually did pretty well in the front line. 68 kills, 74 there, taking down Dread Spears and Bleak Swords decently. Bleak Swords, I believe, will win one-on-one against Swordsmen, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah. It was a pretty even trade in the front line, but the Cold One Knights definitely performed quite well also, helping to take down some of the Empire Knights. 62 kills, though, and some serious chevrons going on for that unit of Demigryph Knights. They definitely got some great work done. I believe they took down both Manticores, killed a whole bunch of Cold One Knights, so definitely very decent in this matchup. I actually think this build is pretty solid overall. I might fine-tune a few things. I'm not the biggest fan of crossbowmen here. I actually much prefer pistoliers. I know there are memes about me liking pistoliers, but it's a thing, guys, especially in a matchup where your opponent likely can't catch you. Really, realistically here, your opponent could try and chase you with dark riders, or with something like Doomfire Warlocks, but then again, if they're chasing you, you can be firing at them while they're chasing you with the Pistoliers, and you can still get some damage done in that way. Also, you can potentially pull them away from another engagement where they could be helping out, so it's pretty cost effective. If they don't have the light cavalry, then you can kind of run around at will with the Pistoliers and fire wherever you want. Granted, I still think Manticores would probably be able to get on top of them, but they at least have the speed to try and run away from the Manticores and do some pretty decent damage there. And of course, Pistoliers, because they're dual-wielding pistols, have the same volume of fire as a lot of infantry skirmishers. 45 models times two shots per model. Pretty solid volume of fire there. So anyway, back to Mr. Kraken Face, McDragon Face. In terms of Loke here, I mean, on foot, he's definitely a powerful infantry character. He gets a lot more expensive up on the dragon. We'll go ahead and go to his unique faction here, the Blessed Dread. Don't think they have anything special, unfortunately. But, yeah. So, the Helm of Kraken, plus 9 melee defense and regeneration. You can see he has a pretty good combat stat line on foot. Unfortunately, doesn't have the best armor-piercing values, pretty decent, but 25 bonus versus infantry is pretty serious. Not to mention he's got that Dreaded Duelist and Deadly Onslaught, of course, as well. Foe Seeker, Merciless Slaver, and the Helm of Kraken, I believe, in campaign gives Terror. Unfortunately, in multiplayer, it does not. To get the Terror, you've got to put him up on the Dragon, which you can see greatly increases his cost. So on foot, he's a nice cost-effective, cheaper option, more of a combat-oriented character. I'd be curious to see how he compares directly to Hellebrand. You don't really see Hellebrand a whole lot these days because her sword's not just brokenly OP. But I guess he's probably a bit cheaper than her, yeah. Kitted out, she's quite a bit more expensive, so cheaper alternative to Hellebrand in terms of an infantry blender lord. And of course you can put him up on the dragon. He's a lot tankier than Hellebrand too, it has to be said, with the regeneration and the extra melee defense. Hellebrand's more of an offensive type character with support buffs. Her support buffs in particular are really what make her shine over the other Dark Elf lords, I would say. But Loke here, the dragon gives him some extra punching power, obviously gives him armor piercing damage. Let's see, he gets a better charge bonus, slightly less combat stats, but granted, with that Dreaded Duelist, you're still getting insanely good combat stats when that's active. So obviously better speed, less armor, but significantly better health as well. So that does mean that your healing cap goes up, because your healing cap is based on a percentage of your total health. So that does mean you'll get potentially more value out of this Helm of Kraken if you're on the dragon. Granted, fully kitted out up on the dragon, he is very expensive, especially for a non-caster character. Up almost 3,000 points is pretty serious, so it's no wonder I forgot a caster. But yeah, in terms of actually bringing a caster here, like I said, Lore of Shadows would probably be the best. Against the Empire, I'd probably take something like a horse, and then probably just these two, honestly. Just Melkost to help control heavy cavalry, Enfeebling Foe to pop on high-value targets, and yeah, we'd pretty much just do that. Might take that Scroll of Leeching if I have the extra points, but then to kind of construct a build from there, we had something like this, and then we'll go with just 2 Bolt Throwers this time, although having the 3 definitely helped. Double Manticore, and then I'm missing Cold One Knights, I believe, yep, here. And then the Sisters of Slaughter. So this is how I would kind of modify that. Just cut one of those Bolt Throwers down for the Sorceress, or if you really want to go with the triple Bolt Thrower, you could always cut a Manticore for another Bolt Thrower. But yeah, this would allow you to actually bring a caster, which I would definitely recommend. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.